G'day, welcome back. I'd especially like to welcome my new subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the content of my channel. If you missed the last video, the replacement of the potentiometer to improve the speed control on my new motor on the lathe, so link up there now. You go watch that first, then come back and watch this one. This week I'm going to do some improvements to my compound slide on the lathe, because when I made that I didn't have the mill like just about everything else I made on that lathe. So follow me over to the bench over there and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Alrighty, so like everything else on that lathe, well except for the main carriage which runs on those pieces of angle line. Oh yeah, wasn't very secure. Let's turn around there. The cross slide is set up like this as well, where everything's just flat surfaces, and there is a brass gib in here to adjust for this, but in here there are just pieces of aluminium can being used as shims to get it right and to get all the slop out of it. But that worked fine when I first made it, but it's not working fine anymore. All of this base works fantastic. You know, when you tighten the 4 bolts up, it pulls it down really tight, won't allow it to move. So I'll retain all of that, but I want to remake all of this section here, and this time use dovetails now that I have a mill. I can cut dovetails in. Well, that took a hell of a lot longer than I expected it to, and I had to take a lot more off than I allowed. I only allowed about 2mm, so I had to cut. This is a piece of that 1-inch base plate from the rotary table. I cut off with the angle grinder, and I only really allowed about 2mm to clean it up, and I'd taken 1.5 mil off this side already. So that only leaves 0.5 mil for the other side. But the other side is flame cut, and it looks as though it was flame cut with a machine, like automated, so not by hand, because it's actually, it doesn't look too bad at all. Clean that edge up, ready for the flip it over, get rid of all the burrs off it. Oh yeah, I've got a feeling I might have lost the tip off that tip on the way back, because it got to about here, the finish was excellent, and then it got a bit crappy. I'm wondering whether I should do that. That was a new tip. I turned the tip around and run it back over it just once. Anyway, you've seen enough. Well, that side's taken well, about half as much. 0.72 I've taken off that. I've still got one tiny little mark there which I'm not going to chase, and one little low spot just here. I have to take a couple of millimetres off the thickness of this, so I'm hoping I'll get rid of that when I do that, because I don't want to take any more off this. I wanted 65mm, but I end up at about 64. Doesn't really matter, because I'm making 2 components to match each other anyway. Without a doubt, my favourite tool in this mill. Beautiful, just fabulous finishes. Alrighty, so if I've got everything right, that should have been the last pass. Shoot, 21.5. 21.52, that'll do me. Alrighty, So that's that piece of scrap binium all dressed up, and I've had enough of watching this thing go backwards and forwards all day. So I'm going to call it a day, and tomorrow I will chew all this out. I ordered a new 20mm dovetail cutter this morning, and it'll be here tomorrow, so I want to use that to cut the dovetails with rather than that little 16mm thing. Alrighty, so while you guys weren't looking today, I've knocked all that centre out of there. I've done it the hard way, which is the quiet way, not the quick way. I used this little 8mm roughing cutter, and to be honest with you, I walked out to the gate at one stage and I could hear the motor running, but I couldn't hear it cutting. Whereas that 1/2 inch roughing mill I have, it's pretty bloody noisy. But I didn't video any of it because I didn't think you'd want to watch. Go back up. I had to make 23 passes to do that, 24 passes, sorry. And then there's been another 5, 6, 7 passes of clean-up cuts. Put that 12mm cutter there. That last one was because I had a little tiny ridge down the centre, a little rib. I thought the last thing I want is something sticking up, binding everything up. Anyway, the new dovetail cutter arrived this morning. Oh, well, just as we got home from shopping, actually. They had two options, a high-speed steel and a carbide cutter, and the carbide one was only 30 baht more than the high-speed steel one, so I went with the carbide one. Hopefully I won't chew the tips off that one. But it's getting late in the day, but I might stick this in there and just have a look. I'm a little worried that with only 4 cutting teeth on there, it might be a bit on the noisy side, but I'll get back to you. Alrighty, so I've got that set for a 1mm depth of cut. I just made a little cut, it's not too bad, but I suspect as I get in deeper it's going to make more noise if I keep trying to cut 1mm cuts. On the strength of what was going on when I cleaned it up with the end mill, I could take a much deeper climb cut without making really any noise at all than I could a conventional cut. So I'm going to have a go at 1mm climb cut, see how we go. Nope, that's way too noisy. Back it off to 1/2mm. 1/2mm from now on, I think. Even 1/2mm a bit on the noisy side. We had something happen here last Friday morning which has me a little worried. Some guy showed up at the front gate and was taking photos of him here. Not that he could see much from where he was standing, but when I walked out to have a look, he jumped in his car and buggered off. So I'm just hoping it's not immigration or someone else coming there to check up on me. Although that was 8 o'clock in the morning and I certainly wasn't doing anything then. Alright, so this is going to be some pretty light cuts, I think, from here on in. So I'll bring you back when I'm done. Everything's turned to shit this afternoon. This thing, it's lost its bloody edge on the corners. Look, they're all gone. Unbelievable. Must be shit carbide. And I switched back to this little 16mm one to keep going. And then all of a sudden the YDRO has gone crazy again. And then while I was cutting up here, it was just getting louder and louder and louder. I thought, what's going on here? And it's pulled itself down in Z 0.4mm all of a sudden. Oh, what the hell is going on there? Anyway, I ordered another. I ordered the high-speed steel version of this thing a little while ago, but it's nearly 4 o'clock. I don't like my chances of him getting it away today. But that's just ridiculous. I can't believe what's going on there. I don't know why it was doing that. And I don't know why the Y-axis is playing up. I've pulled it all apart, cleaned it twice now. Oh well, that's it for today. Alrighty, so if there was one saving grace from yesterday afternoon's disaster, it was that this is part 1, so it didn't really matter. I can make it to wherever I want. So I've cleaned all that up this morning. I've marked this out roughly because I won't really know what it's got to be completely until I finish that part. This doesn't stop me roughing it out. That new 20mm dovetail cutter didn't get away yesterday, so I won't see that until tomorrow. And today is bar day, so I'll be out of here at 2:30 anyway, so I'll get on with this. I've got a couple of hours to knock stuff off this. Until then, get underway. This is the Lathe mill roughing cutter again. It is such an awesome little cutter, and I don't know that it's that much slower than using that 1/2 inch one I've got, because it's 4 fluted, the 1/2 inch one's 3 fluted. It's a lot noisier, got to run it a lot slower, take shallower cuts, so I don't know that that's all that much slower. But I'm pretty sure you don't want to watch it going backwards and forwards for the next 2 hours, so I'll bring you back later. Well, I don't mind telling you what a massive relief it is to have gotten on top of that DRO problem, because it was really driving me nuts. They have literally not moved since I took them off the front of the cover, the motor cover, and put them over there on the grate. So it was truly a relief. Alrighty, so while you weren't looking, I finished roughing this thing out this morning. Did most of it yesterday. I think all I had left to do was the centre slot this morning, and as luck would have it, I was just about to finish that. This new cutter showed up, and I'm determined I'm not going to destroy it. And I've actually run it up through here a few times now to clean up where it shit itself the other day. I'm going low and slow, and that's where I'm going to stay. It's really noisy, and I'm going to take, I don't care how long it takes, 0.1 passes until I get into as far as I want to get. But anyway, I'll give you a little look-see at this one, because you won't want to watch much of this. It's too slow. That is so damn noisy, I'm going to go and pull the doors as much as I don't want to, because it's still stinking hot here. But that's just ridiculously loud. On a 0.1 cut, crazy. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I'm all done. Well, that's bloody that. That last pass was only 0.05 of a millimetre higher revs to try and get a better finish, because the finish I've got over in here feels terrible. That's a lot better, that one. So I think the quill will be going on this side. I'll run this side on metal to metal. Well, that took forever. This thing's got a lot of run out in it, but I played around with it when I come over this side with it and got it to run just a little bit truer. But what I did was I used a little one, which I can run a bit faster and take deeper cuts to chew in as far as I could, and then just finished it with this one. But that's taken forever. Anyway, so that's that part of it done, and enough noise for one day before I end up with another noise complaint. So I'll call that a day. Alrighty, so that was the last pass up this side. Been out here an hour and a half, so I had to trim quite a bit more off these sides here once I knew exactly what I needed. But I have another problem. I can't cut this side until I do something about this. This sits up too high, so I need to cut this edge to match this 60-degree bevel in there. And I've been thinking about it for days about how I can do this, and then last night I suddenly had a brainstorm, had a thoughty, and no, it didn't hurt. What I'm going to try and do is, I've got to take it all out of here. I'm going to put this bit of this in there, hope that doesn't stick up too high, and clamp it in the vise. I'll get something else to put in here to push against that. Clamp it down, lower down in the vise, and just run mill on the top, clean it up, and then flip it over and do the other side. But it's lunchtime now, so I'm going to go and have some lunch, and we'll do that after lunch. Well, I've got to say, that actually took me ages to set that up, because every time I tried to push up against this piece of round width made the thing push up in the centre, and I just couldn't get it to stay down. Even now it's still pushed up a little bit. You can see this is loose here, but it is gripped pretty tight in there. Right, so I'll flip that over and do the other side. I've got to find something now to lift this up a bit so I can knock the other side off. This end's sitting a bit higher than that end. Well, that turned out to be a whole lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I kept thinking all the time, how am I going to hold this thing at 60 degrees to cut it? Alrighty, so does it fit nicely in there or not? Not stick up? Yeah, yes it does. Beautiful. Right, so it means I can get on with cutting this side. But it's iced coffee o'clock, so, and it's stinking hot, so I'm going to go get myself iced coffee. When I come back, we'll flip it around this way and cut this side. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my patrons and my other supporters for the continued support. This has been made possible by a contribution by one of those supporters. Now, if you'd like to become a patron, there's a link down in the description below. You can join up there, toss me a couple of dollars every month, because every little bit helps. If you don't want to be a patron, there's always Buy Me a Coffee. There's a link there on the screen with that QR code. You can scan that and sign up there, or there's always that thanks button down there. Alrighty, so I had intended to video the last cut on there, but it seems like it snuck up on me and I missed it. We are there. The right side is the smooth side, that's the smooth side. Oh, this needs dressing up a bit. It's, when you measure it, it varies about 0.1 up and down the length of it, so it needs dressing up just a tad. But there we have it. I actually had that on there a second ago and it was went up quite easily, so it's definitely got to be that gib. Anyway, I think that's about all we got time for this week. There's still a heap to do yet. And if you're wondering why this bit's sticking out here, it's because I never reduced the width of that. Decided I'd leave it till the end, and then I just mill it off to these are all, it's all the same. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching me do that, and if you did, make sure you give it a great big thumbs up and smash that like button. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week when we'll finish this off. Bye bye.